Welcome to this week's Newsbreak. I'm your host, Rebecca Ferceni. Let's get into the top stories for today. Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Cuba as an extremely dangerous Category 3 storm. After its slow and destructive path across the Caribbean island, Melissa first hit Jamaica. As a devastating Category 5 hurricane, roaring ashore at 185 miles per hour, a historic strike that the island has ever seen. Landslides, fallen trees, and numerous power outages were reported ahead of Melissa, with officials in Jamaica cautioning that the cleanup and damage assessment would be taking months or even years to recover. People in Jamaica, thousands of whom spent the night in a shelter, are still being warned of landslide and flash flooding. The Jamaican Prime Minister declared a disaster area and warned of its devastating impact.
Whenever you have a Category 5 hurricane, there's scarcely any building or infrastructure that would escape without some form of damage.
This landfall will go down in the record books as one of the strongest anywhere in the Atlantic Basin. President Donald Trump is now in South Korea for his final stop in his tour of Asia. After meeting with the South Korean leader Lee Jae-myung, the two countries reached an agreement on a trade deal. A South Korean official laid out some terms of the agreement between the two countries, which Korea will invest $200 billion in cash investment and another $150 in shipbuilding partnerships, while the 15% in tariffs on South Korea's automobiles and auto parts will remain in place. Trump will end his summit with optimism at high-stakes meeting with President Xi Jinping on Thursday.
It's a big meeting, and I think it's going to work out very well, actually. I think it's going to be great for everybody.
I think we're going to have a successful transaction for both countries.
This is their first in-person meeting in Trump's second term, following months of back-and-forth trade wars. It reached its peak earlier this month when Beijing announced sweeping export restrictions on crucial raw materials needed for technological advancement. There has been a major escalation in President Trump's war on drug cartels in the Caribbean. The Trump administration launched another round of strikes on vessels traveling through the Eastern Pacific Ocean. New Defense Department video shows two boats side by side being taken out by one shot in a battle against the alleged drug war. The strike left one survivor and killed 14, marking the biggest toll since the campaign began last month. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced that the four boats were accused of smuggling drugs but failed to provide evidence of the fact or the strike's location. Today, Trump addressed troops in Japan, warning that strikes against speedboats could move to targets on land.
We're knocking them out one by one, and very importantly, we've almost stopped completely the drugs coming in by sea, and now we'll stop the drugs coming in by land.
The president has ordered the largest aircraft carrier in the world, the USS General R. Ford, and its strike group of destroyers sailed to the Caribbean from the Mediterranean. The U.S. has also put out a $50 million reward for the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who has been indicted for drug trafficking in an ongoing battle between the U.S. and the Caribbean. The Trump administration asserts that the destruction of each boat is saving 25,000 American lives. On Tuesday, officials from 25 states and the District of Columbia filed a lawsuit aiming to have the Trump administration fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP. This weekend, the Department of Agriculture said food benefits for 41 million Americans will cease on Saturday if the government doesn't reopen. While the lawsuit aims to upkeep funding for SNAP, President Trump says he will not tap into contingency plan of $5 billion to keep SNAP running. Democratic lawmakers say the federal government has the money to continue to provide food assistance, but is opting not to.
What President Trump is doing on the hunger issue and on the nutrition issue is immoral. I am the ranking member on the Appropriations Committee, and I promise you that there is funding available to provide SNAP benefits beyond November 1st.
Republicans maintain they will not discuss health care until Democrats vote to reopen the government.
I spoke with the president last night. He's happy to sit down with the Democrats next week to talk about Obamacare. But you can't do that when the government is shut down.
California and Arizona's attorney generals announced that their states will be joining the lawsuit. If the coalition is successful in their lawsuit, the USDA may be subject to using its emergency funds to continue providing benefits to the state's residents. That's all I have for you guys today. I'm Rebecca Ferceni. Tune in next week for the latest news and stories.